For the other New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Alexander Vindman, this is actually the top expert of Ukraine from the National Security Council. He testified on Capitol Hill today to Congress as part of the ongoing impeachment proceeding going against President Donald Trump. All of that stems from this July 25th phone call that Trump had with Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, where he on this call was accused of actually trying to get the president over there to open up an investigation into Burisma Holdings, which is a company that has a board that Joe Biden's son sits on. So he was urging him to open up an investigation against Joe Biden and his son in Ukrainian corruption. Now, Vindman testified that the transcript that was officially released that proved that this had happened, aside from the whistleblower report or whatever, the transcript that was received was actually that the public saw was left out some key parts. Two parts that are left out. One was the Ukrainian president explicitly saying Burisma Holdings, and the other was Trump actually saying that he had recording of Joe Biden speaking about Ukrainian corruption. So, you know, shit, it's hot thickens, I guess, but I mean, we kind of already know what the fuck going on, you dig? Especially if you watching my shit. Green War Graduation. News Report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. I told y'all yesterday that the CEO of Boeing, Dennis Newz, was going to testify in front of the Senate, right? So he does this and ends up actually admitting that Boeing failed to give key additional information to the pilots of the MAX 737 airplanes, which have been like grounded worldwide due to these airplane crashes that happened for an Indonesian airline company as well as Ethiopian airline company, where a total of 346 people across these two planes actually died from these crashes, killing everybody on the plane. So Tammy Duckworth, shout out to her, but she's a congressmember from Illinois. She actually said that that they weren't being honest with the people, the committee, with the families of the people who lost their loved ones on that incident. The reality is, and I'm paraphrasing, but the pilots did everything they were supposed to do. It's just that 5 seconds later, the sensor, especially if it's still stuck, it will actually override what the pilot is doing and cause the nose to drop for 3 seconds. So, you know, when you're talking about takeoff, flight and altitude is very necessary, and pilots have to be very mindful of that, and they need as much of that as they can get, and really they had no air or no altitude when this took place. So, you know what I mean, bound to be crashes. It's a intense scenario because you had the families who actually lost loved ones to those crashes that were at the hearing holding up giant signs and photos of the people they lost. So shit was real tense. They probably have some hell to pay, you know what I mean, coming soon, especially with that admission. Green War and Graduation. News Report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So in Lebanon, I told y'all about the other day how this weekend they actually formed that human chain, right? You're talking about 100 miles long of people connecting hands from the north to the south of that motherfucker. So they've had all anti-government protests going on the last couple of weeks. It's been tense. But actually it turns out that the president, the prime minister, of Lebanon, Saad Hariri, actually resigned amid all of these anti-government protests. So even with that happening, you have them continuing, the protesters that you're talking about thousands poured into the streets celebrating, but they still will continue to protest until there's actually a resignation of all of Lebanon's ruling elite, and that they have a formation of a new, essentially a new government with independent experts on scenarios. So we'll see how this turns out though. Green War and Graduation. Report of the New World Order. Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So I've been telling y'all about the protests that have been going on over in Iraq ever since earlier this month, where they was hitting the streets, you know, by the droves, like talking about tens of thousands of people calling out the removal of government, basically, you know what I mean, going against the corruption, the lack of unemployment, or the heavy unemployment, as well as lack of access to like basic resources like water and shit. So they've been going ham, the protesters have, but so has the government. They've been cracking down on this shit. I told y'all yesterday about how there was men in black masks, soldiers in black masks pulled up on the protesters in Tahrir Square in Baghdad and actually shot at the crowd of protesters, injuring 860 of them, killing 18 of them. So shit is real over there, but it didn't stop the force because it was still tens of thousands of people out there last night and calling for that. But so far it's 225 people that have been killed in these protests. So shit is real over there. The Al Jazeera, pardon me, is actually reporting that the main political backers of the Prime Minister, the Adel Abdul Mahdi, are actually talking about have agreed to team up together to remove Mahdi from office. So, you know, the Prime Minister may be ousted soon, but people are calling for a new government period. So that probably won't quell the situation over there. No water? Seriously? Green War and graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. Make sure you sign that petition too. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube, or go straight to change.org and look it up. It'll be by Bishop Grady, $B$hip Grady, letting y'all know exactly why you should be removed from that platform. Now, over in Haiti though, shit has they've been in they've reached their 7th week of protests against the corruption going on over there, and they want the removal of government over there too. I know I feel like a broken record talking about another country wants to remove their government, but over there is Jovenel Moise, who initially was accused of being corrupt after that Petro-Caribe oil money was coming up missing, whatever. That's the oil deal that they have. That relates to the oil deal that they have with Venezuela. Now, it's a lot of money, and people were hitting the streets, and you know, there's a government crackdown on that too. So far, 20 people have been killed amidst these protests, but they still hitting the capital, Port-au-Prince, and bringing the noise. So, Green War and graduation. Streets reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan actually has claimed that the Syrian Kurds have not honored their part of the ceasefire that was actually brokered by Russia, apparently, and that he will actually have joint Turkish-Russian border patrol actually hit the border and patrol the border this upcoming Friday. So shit might get real. I mean, they had a ceasefire. Both sides were accused of not really adhering to it, but it definitely quelled a lot of the violence that ensued once President Trump abruptly told the U.S. troops to actually stop their support of the Kurds. And then, Turkish forces came in, Turkish militia launched its air and ground defenses, displaced hundreds of thousands of people, killing a bunch. And then also, you had Syria then come back and actually back the Kurds, who were actually holding down, the oil fields and detaining ISIS fighters that were captured while they were battling out there with the U.S. So, it's looked at as treacherous what Trump did, but nevertheless, it caused a gang of violence that now has to be dealt with, possibly still some more to ensue on this Friday. Green War and graduation. Reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So in an interesting move by the House of Representatives in the United States, they actually voted 405 to 11 on calling the massacre that took place of Armenians in Turkey from 1915 to 1923. We're talking about 1.5 million Armenians that were actually massacred. The U.S. is now going to commemorate that massacre by the Turkey's Ottoman Empire as a genocide. So they'll be moving forward with that. I wonder what implications that has for the relationship between the United States and Turkey, especially since it seemed like Trump had a cordial conversation or good rapport for him or whatever with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. So I don't know if this will stack up onto conversations about how they should position themselves regarding Turkey, because even now to this day there's no diplomatic relationship between Armenia and Turkey, and they're right next to each other. Green War and graduation. Streets report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black House News report. Make sure you sign that petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description. If you're watching this on YouTube, or you can go straight to change.org. Look up Get Donald Trump off Twitter by Bishop Grady, $hip Grady, laying out exactly why he should be removed from that platform. Now, Max Blumenthal is the editor of The Gray Zone. It says that like our freedom of press is under attack, or definitely in this situation where police came into his home in Washington D.C. on October 25th and arrested him, jailed him for 2 days, had him shackled for 5 hours. It really ain't nothing, what I mean, let's be real, but they did jail him for 2 days and didn't give him any phone calls. That's pretty serious. So with that being said, he was arrested for a warrant that was 5 months old. It goes back to March, where there were protests outside of the Venezuelan embassy regarding that whole debacle between the U.S. and Venezuela, and the U.S. trying to put in their own leader as the president, Juan Guaido, over the current real president, Nicolas Maduro, and all the sanctions that was going on. So people were protesting against the treatment of Venezuela, and for the U.S. treatment of Venezuela as well. So Blumenthal was accused of assaulting one of the Venezuelan opposition members, but he denies those charges. Green war on graduation. News report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black House News report. Now, I told y'all on Sunday how Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, had actually issued a statewide emergency due to the climate change fueled wildfires that were taking place, spreading across from LA to even from LA to Northern Cali. You're talking about 180,000 people have actually been displaced by these fires. Well, this Getty fire has actually been spreading also from across these areas, and you have the National Weather Service for the first time actually saying that they issued an extreme red flag warning. The first time they've ever issued that, because the Getty fire catching 80-mile-an-hour winds. And, it's all of that dry air, so it's looked at as just like being a contagious wildfire. I mean, people are really considering parts of Cali as being uninhabitable just due to the possibility of wildfires. A lot of people without power is going crazy over there. So you got folks over there keeping me positive thoughts and prayers. Green war on graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black House News report. Make sure you sign that petition. Get Donald Trump on Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you watch this on YouTube. So they were actually activists. You're talking about 200 protesters that actually rallied outside of the headquarters of BlackRock in New York City yesterday. Now they did so calling for BlackRock to end their support for the fossil fuel industry and for big oil companies. Now, they're BlackRock, for those who don't know, they're one of the largest asset managers in the world with over $6.8 trillion in asset management in assets. So they have a crazy reputation, but they're also one of the biggest investors in oil and the fossil fuel industry. Now, keep in mind that they did this protest on the 7th anniversary of Superstorm Sandy that actually went through Jersey, New York, and New England, killed 159 people, it's reported, and 650,000 people were actually removed from their homes. Oh yeah, and keep in mind that the journal Nature Communications actually published a story that says that over the next 30 years, due to climate-fueled sea level rise, we're going to see like up to 300 million homes be damaged. So shit is real. Everybody better tighten the fuck up. You know our motto: green war on graduation.